Hello everyone. Today in this video, we're going to study and understand about summer internship project and SIP and dissertation report writing. That how to write it and all these specific points in it one by one in detail. So it is an important part of our MBA program, whether it is SIP or dissertation. It tests the student's ability to understand and apply the theory, the concepts, and the tools of analysis to a specific problem situation, right? The project provides the opportunity to judge the student's time and self-management skills and his and her ability to successfully undertake a long and in-depth study and integrate knowledge in a business context. So we'll start from title. Let me clear here that in this particular video, I'm going to explain you both SIP and dissertation. What is the basic difference between SIP and dissertation is these internship. In SIP, you have to go for internship of 8 weeks, right? But for dissertation, there is no need to go for any internship. You have to go do research on your own. That's the basic difference. So when we study index, the basic difference would be that company profile will be missing from dissertation index. That's it, right? The rest, all the things are exactly same. So how a title should be? A title should be very clear and grab the attention of a reader. It shouldn't be vague or hard or difficult or confusing, right? So what are the qualities of a good title? The first one is clarity. That is, it should be very clear to understand. As soon as a particular person reads a topic, he or she should be able to understand what I want to do inside a report, right? Number of words should be as less as possible, as fewest as possible, short and sweet, right? It should not be very lengthy title. Okay, so and also the relevance to your study, relevance to your specialization from your topic. It should be clear that you are writing a report on which specialization, whether marketing, finance, HR, or operations. I've given you a few examples. For example, to study HR policies and the influence on employee job satisfaction. By reading this, you understand, it is very clear that you're going to study HR policies, and you understand it is on human resource management specialization, and it is very clear that what you want to study inside a report. And rest of examples are to study an efficient marketing strategies in the small business sector, right? You understand very clearly. To study microfinancing institutions and the level of poverty in developing countries, and a study of financial performance of Bank of India. So you understand by reading the topic that you're going for marketing or finance or HR and what you want to study inside it, right? So it should be very clear. Now we'll start from index one by one. As I told you, index for both SIP and dissertation is same, only company profile will be missing from dissertation. So the index, it starts from executive summary, right? Now what is an executive summary? It is basically a short document that summarizes your long report in such a way that a readers can rapidly become acquainted with a large body of material without having to read it all. You remember in English lesson, you have a summary before you start a lesson, and you read a summary and you understand what lesson is about in short. The same thing. So it usually contains a brief statement of the problem or proposal covered in your major project, background information, your analysis, that is your research methodology, your main conclusions. So only important points are explained in executive summary. Understand? So executive summary has to be of 1 page in a paragraph form. The next important thing is literature review and theory. Now students confuse between literature review and theory. Both are very different. Theory is the theoretical part of your project. For example, if you're writing a summer internship project or dissertation on ratio analysis, theory will consist of theory of ratio. What is ratio? What are types of ratio? Explain details the formulas of ratio. That is theory that you get from any book. Then what is literature review? It summarizes prior research and says how your project is linked to it. Like I said, if you're doing it on ratio analysis, you go and search for some research work done on ratio analysis, and you find that out on net or through some journals, and it integrates and summarizes what is already known about a subject, what is already known about ratio analysis, what is already known about recruitment, right? What is already known about whatever topic you're going to cover in your report. Understand? So search subject specific databases and other search tools to find sources. Read, evaluate the sources and determine the suitability to the understanding, and then put it in your this report. Understand? So, and then after literature review can be 4 or 5 authors, and then after that write a theory. Total, the chapter should have 9 to 10 pages. That's it. Why I'm defining pages? Because it's very important that you have to conclude a chapter in those pages. More than that, it is not required, because you have limitations that of your report. Okay, so you don't have to elaborate too much on particular chapter. So it's very important that you stick to the number of pages given to make your report very effective. Now, research methodology, it's a whole chapter. It should be of 3 or 4 pages. Now it starts with introduction, statement of problem. What is statement of problem? Very important. So before you start your, you decide your topic, then you come to a problem statement. That is what problem you're going to address, right? So a problem statement is description of an issue currently existing and which needs to be addressed. So you find out the existing problem that you're going to study. In short, an explanation of a problem a business is facing, and a proposed solution to it. Of course, you have to give that in the particular report. You're going to give solution to a particular problem. So before you write your problem statement, think about the problem and your proposed solution, and then you write it. You'll have to give a solution also to it. So it should be of 1 or 2 sentences and explain your problem process, and of course the improvement over it. So in general, a problem statement will outline the negative points of the current situation and explain why this matters, right? So it provides a context for the research study and generates a question which the research aims to answer. Understand? So it's a focal point of any research. So the statement of a problem is used in research work as a claim that outlines the problem addressed by a study. A good research problem should address an existing gap in knowledge in the field and lead to further research. I'll give an example. For example, if you're doing research on airlines, the problem statement can be, right, optimization of current boarding protocols or adoption of new, more effective protocols is crucial for continued competitiveness of the company. In this proposal, in this project, the alternative boarding protocols are analyzed for their feasibility and steps for effective implementation are suggested. Now, after reading this problem statement, what do you understand? What do you understand? That the current boarding procedure isn't very good, and that this new one which you're going to propose, which you're going to suggest is better, and tells the reader what to expect if they continue reading your project. Got it? So that's a problem statement. Next is objectives. Very important. Once you fix your title, right, you have to then frame objectives in relation to your title. It should be, look, whenever you write a particular report, your title, your objectives, data analysis and interpretation, your findings and your suggestions and conclusions should be in harmony. They should relate to one another, right? It should not have different directions or different meanings. There should be a relation, a harmony, a synchronization. So once you, for example, I've given an example here, let's understand with the help of it. Your title is a study of financial performance of NABARD. So what objectives you will frame? To study the sources and uses of funds, to understand the capital adequacy of NABARD, to discover the stake of NABARD in subsidiaries, to understand the strategic and alternative investments of NABARD. It can be your objectives you frame. Look, you have to frame objectives keeping in mind that you have to fulfill it in your data analysis and interpret it. Don't frame any absurd objectives which cannot be fulfilled. So whenever you frame objectives, keep in mind that it's you who have to prove it and fulfill it in data analysis with the help of whatever, tables, graphs, pie charts, whatever. Understand? And then interpret it. Just take into consideration that you're framing an objective for your life, that you want to become a finance manager in another 5 years. So to fulfill that objective of becoming a finance manager, you'll start working on it, how to fulfill it, right? Same way, you have to start working on it, how you'll fulfill it, and then only frame. There should be 4 or 5 objectives, and it should start with to study, to analyze, to find out, to schoolwork. Understand? It should start with that phrase, right? So that is important. Now, the next part of RM chapter is scope. Now, what is scope? The scope of a study basically means all those things that will be covered in your project. It defines clearly the extent of your content that will be covered by the means of research in order to come to more logical conclusions. Okay. So the first thing to mention in the scope of study is to state categorize the period the study covers, right? Research usually limited its scope to sample size, time, and geographic area. Like few phrases I've given here, you can start your scope like the coverage of the study is, the study consists of, the study covers, the study's focus on. So this is how you can give your scope. It can be limited to 8 weeks, right? This limited, the scope is that you have covered the Pune area, or you have covered the whole of Maharashtra, whatever. So you give the scope of your study. Yes. Now, the next important thing is data collection method. You have to mention here that you have covered what type of research, design, and data collection method. There are two types of data collection method: primary and secondary. You need to understand very clearly, because the first and foremost question any external will ask you in a viva is, what is your source of data collection? If you say primary, then he'll ask you what is primary data, what is secondary data. So you should know. So primary is always a first hand data. That is, it has never been there anywhere in the books or on the net. It is you who is the source of data collection. It is primary, it is first hand data. That is, you have by observation method, you by interview method, or you by survey, doing a survey, a questionnaire method, you have collected that data yourself, right? Then what is secondary? It is second hand data which already exists somewhere in books, in journals, in company publications. Like if you're doing some research on this fund flow statement, then you need some accounts of companies, so you take from their books of accounts, right? If you're doing a project report on ratio analysis, you need their final accounts, their balance sheets, so you refer. That is secondary data, it already exists, right? The websites, company profiles, these are all secondary data which is there and there available. Then you have to be very clear that what is going to be your source of data collection. Sometimes it is only primary, sometimes it is only secondary, and sometimes it is mix of it. But basically secondary data is there and there in every report. Why? Because you have literature review, you have theory part. So secondary is by default there and there. Sometimes your data analysis also consists of secondary, because in mostly in finance subjects you need secondary data, you need accounts, you need figures. It's all playing with figures in finance. But in case you're doing survey, you select your sample size, right? And all. Also that is primary, that you do a survey, you prepare a questionnaire, you go out, you ask a question, and then you form a table, a graph, and then interpret. Then it becomes primary. Understand? Now the next is limitations. You have to give it. The limitation of study is delimiting a study by geographic location, age, population, traits, population size, or other similar considerations. So it is used to make study better and more feasible, and not just for the interest of a researcher. It defines the constraints or weakness of your study, which was not within the control, within your control, right? So the phrases would be: the study does not cover, the researcher limited the research to, the study is limited to, something negative, right? Then the organizational profile. Here in SIP, it is very important because that is missing in dissertation. Here, in which company you have done your internship, you have to mention everything about that company over here. The product of the company, the organizational structure of the company, right? The profile, everything. You get it from net, from website, you get it, right? It should be 9 to 10 pages, that's it. Don't elaborate. Okay. Now the most important chapter, the heart of your report, that is data analysis and interpretation. It should be of 10 to 12 pages most. You can increase sometimes if you have very data, too much of data, then you can increase it. Here you have that freedom of increasing the number of pages, but not in other chapters, right? So what is data analysis and interpretation? Now here, whatever objectives you have framed, you have to fulfill those objectives here, right? You have to clearly mention here that how you have, whatever data you have collected, you have to represent that in a form of a table, a tabular form. You have to give a title of the table, the caption, the column heading, the stubs, the row heading, the table body, and the source of data, primary or secondary. So analysis of table data by graph, bar graph, by diagram is important, and then interpretation of data from graph drawn and the tables. So this is a complete data analysis of one particular point. For example, if you are doing a ratio analysis, you find a current ratio for 5 years, then you have a table of current ratio of 5 years. That current ratio of 5 years will form in the form of a bar graph, and then you'll interpret it. So this completes your one data analysis. Same way, for all the ratios, you will have 1, 2, 3, 4, right? The sequence goes like this: table, the graph, and the interpretation. Okay. Then Findings, suggestions, and conclusion. Now, what is that? The findings. What are the findings? Findings are specifically the out of your data analysis interpretation. Whatever analysis you have done and interpreted, whatever you have found in your study, right? You found that okay, the current ratio is very poor, and it has to be like since 5 years is coming down, right? So that is your finding. So what is suggestions? Suggestions is finding a problem, a loophole, and then giving a suggestion to the company. Like you observe the current ratio is very poor and it is coming down, so you can suggest that the liquidity position of the company is at stake, and therefore the company should try to increase its current assets and balance its current liabilities and assets. Otherwise, the company can go into insolvency. So this suggestion you can give. So you have to find, look, findings have to be more. It has to be almost 1 or 2 pages, 10 to 12 findings, right? Suggestions can be hardly two, 1 or 2. Suggestions are should be relevant, but okay, not from net or Google. You have to find out. Suggestions should from inside your report, which you have found a problem, a loophole in converting that into a suggestion. What is the conclusion? Conclusion is a small crux of your study. That is, what you have done in your data analysis interpretation or study, you write in a paragraph form whatever you have done in analysis, your a little bit of your findings, and whatever suggestions you have given, and overall your view of your study, right? So what is learning of the student through the project? Now your learning, your takeaway from the project, what you have learned from the project as a student, right? That you have to mention in the paragraph form. Now, contribution to host organization means what is the contribution of your report to the organization you have done SIP in? What takeaways are for the company, right? The company might have found out from your ratio analysis, yeah, this ratio is getting very poor. Okay, we need to address this problem. That is a contribution that you have make it available for them, the data ready to understand and to address a problem, right? So this is how your index ends. Then bibliography should be in a Harvard style. Now, what is a Harvard style? With an example, name of the author, year of publication, the name of the book, okay, and then the name of the publication and the place of publication. That's a format. This is a format of writing a bibliography, and it should be in that format only. Understand? And always remember, whatever literature review you have written in a literature review, all those authors' bibliography should also come over here in this chapter, in this particular heading. Understand? So in the heading of journals, because that will be something you have taken from journals mostly. So in the heading of journals, you should write all the literature reviews bibliography, books, all the books bibliography, whatever you have referred. Understood? So that is very important. What is annexure? Whatever extra documents you have. For example, if you have some questionnaires, you can put it here as an annexure. If you have some panel accounts, you have some data of the company, you can put it here in an annexure, right? So here ends your index. Now, as I told you, the basic difference was only company profile. Rest the index remains as it is for SIP and dissertation. No difference. You can just take a look quickly. Okay. It's same. No difference. Okay. Now, what are the key points? You need to choose the topic in the first place. You can take the help of faculty, your faculty member, the old projects, journals, refer them, and then choose a topic. Okay, the objective of the project should be done next. As soon as you choose a topic, you frame objectives. It should be clear, and at the end, the objectives, analysis, findings, conclusion should match and should be in harmony, as I told you. And at the end, after completing the project, you need to check whether all the objectives are achieved or not. And if there's a need, you have to have a solution that you can suggest it under the heading suggestion. As I told you, there's a problem, a loophole, right? Now, what are prefatory pages? The initial pages. So it covers title, the cover page given by the institute, declaration format will given by the institute, college certificate issued by the institute after you complete the project, after your guides give completion report. Company certificate only for SIP that you have to get from company is very important. In SIP, the first thing the external will check is your company certificate, whether it is original or not. Okay, acknowledgement, then the index that we discussed, then list of tables and figures, and list of abbreviations. These are your prefatory pages, right? The basic guidelines are these. To write a report, the matter should be typed in A4 size paper with Times New Roman font and size 12 point with a double spacing between the lines. This is very important. Its Times font should be Times New Roman and size of font should be 12. Margin of 1.5 at the left and 1 to the right should be kept. A margin of 1 at the top and bottom should be kept. Headers and footers should not be used. The matter should be printed in black ink only. Color inks for graph and charts can be used. Okay. The report should be printed both the sides of plain white paper in safeguard of the environment. And each chapter should be numbered and should begin on a new page. Okay. The pages should be numbered at the right hand side bottom of the page. And index should contain the number of the chapter, name of the chapter, and the page number of the chapter. It's very important. For example, if you are going for a Viva external, we'll check the page number and then go to that page number. It helps to trace. Okay, it tells that how effectively you have done your report. There are small things that help explains the effectiveness of your report. Here we end our video, and I hope you understood. So keep all these points in consideration while writing a report. Okay, because these are common points for everyone. Rest, individual faculty will tell you according to your topic how to write a data analysis, how to frame objectives. But these are overall points that are common to everyone, whatever specialization they are from, right? Thank you so much.